Hello guys, McNulty here. I've just finished testing and clearing Mushkin Vault's Heroic on the beta, and I think it's time that I update my Disc Priest guide, now that we're definitely close to the map release. So, most of my content is based on 10-man raiding, but a lot of this advice that you're going to see is very relevant in 25-man as well. So, yeah, let's just get straight into it. The changes to talents are amazing for endgame content. There are some cookie cutter picks, but you should be changing these on a fight by fight basis. Level 15, we just take Void Tendrils, there's no question. Level 30, most people will take Angelic Feather, and if you use this macro here, it'll just place it on your feet each time you press it, which is very powerful. If you're like me and you like to people watch, you can make some really good plays with Body and Soul. It just takes a little bit of time. Level 45, the majority of the time we are going to be using Atonement, so taking Solace and Insanity is the best for mana return, but on certain fights when you can't Atonement as much, you'll want to take Mindbender. Our level 60 talents, I default to Angelic Bulwark. It's kind of fire and forget. Desperate Prayer can be useful after a clutch Void Shift, but we have Healthstones, we have other stuff. It's not as good in progression. I will talk about Spectual Guise later. Level 75 is very cookie cutter. We are going to take Twist of Fate. It's just the best, and you get the double dip. It's super strong. Level 90, honestly, these are so strong, but we just take the one that suits the fight best. I do have a section on these a little bit later in the guide that is a little bit more detailed. Okay, next is Glyphs. By default, I take Holy Fire, Prayer of Mending, and Penance. But much like talents, you need to change these on a fight by fight basis. The other alternative glyphs are Binding Heal, very strong in the right fight. Focus Mending, very niche, very situational. We have Inner Sanctum. The speed increase is nice, but ultimately we want this for the spell damage reduction. It can be the difference between getting one shot. And Master Spell. This is mandatory in certain fights, like Stone Kings. You just need that improved dispel. Stats. Intellect is still king, but we're going to want as much spirit as we can get in this phase. But remember, spirit is only as important when you need it. If you're getting to the end of fights with a lot of mana, dump some into your secondary stats. Our best secondary stat is crit. Mastery still good, and haste just isn't there anymore. Our gems, this is the era of split gems. You're going to want intellect and crit gems, or intellect and spirit gems. As this expansion goes on, our secondary stats become a lot more valuable. So you're going to see intellect and crit sort of even out a little bit. As for our meta gem, I just take the intellect and crit one. It's pretty simple. Okay, now that the homework is out of the way, let's get down to the rotation. I like to break our rotation down into two different playstyles. Firstly, we've got Maintenance. Power Word Shield, Independence, into Prayer of Mending. Usually these will be on the main tank. What you need to think about here is our Rapture. It needs procced every 12 seconds. Rapture now only gives back 100% of the mana cost of Power Word Shield. So not as good as it used to be, but you still want to be getting that proc every 12 seconds. Honestly, I use these macros, meaning that these three abilities just get fired on the target of my target, which is going to be most likely the main tank. Then we are using Atonement. Solace or Holy Fire, Independence, into Smite. Now let's talk about Penance for a second. This ability can now be used to proc Atonement healing, so you'll have to decide to use it either offensively or defensively. If you use it defensively, let's say on the tank, it's great for building up 3 stacks of grace instantly, but offensively, it gives out 3 atonement heals. It's god tier really. When we are atonementing, we are building up a buff called Evangelicism. Each stack reduces mana cost and increases the damage of your Smite, Penance and Holy Fire spells. When you have it at max stacks, you'll want to use them to proc our main healing CD, Archangel. Our second way of healing is where we actually do healing. I know, it sucks. My damage is going down. But anyway, let's talk about Archangel for a second. Firstly, this now does benefit atonement healing, so you really are going to want to use it as much as possible per fight. The fact that this has a 30-second CD and Spirit Chill has a 1-minute CD, you really want them to overlap and use every second Archangel with your Spirit Chill. To be fair, that's in a perfect world, which healing isn't. Now, our new CD is called Spirit Chill. Basically, we want to use this with our healing spells such as Heal, Flash Heal, Greater Heal, and Prayer of Healing, and these get converted into an absorption shield that lasts 15 seconds. This means you now, as a Disc Priest, need to think about when the big damage is happening. You are going to need to know the bosses better than anybody, because you need to know when this stuff is going to hit hard. Timing this, I like to use this with Inner Focus, Archangel, and if possible a Trinket proc. Personally, when I use this spell, the majority of the time I'll cast it with Prayer of Healing, and with our current haste values, you're probably only going to get 3 casts off within the Spirit Chill timer. You can use this as a tank CD with Greater Healing, but there isn't very many opportunities to do that in Mushkin Vaults at the minute. And you can also use this to just pad the healing meter when there are fights with long, consistent damage. But personally, in those phases, I just like to do damage. Let Healing Rain take that healing. Now, the previous forms of healing is what you'll be doing for 90% of most fights when raiding. But some fights, survival is all that matters. Mana doesn't matter. The only thing that does matter is keeping people alive and firing out your biggest, fattest heals. Garajal, the Spirit Breaker, is a good example of this. On this fight, everyone is taking damage from shadow bolts from inside the other room. 3 people will have voodoo dolls on them, which means that the damage these 3 people take is split evenly among the 3, meaning that they are taking a metric fuck ton of damage. Healing like a normal Disc Priest here, all 3 are going to die. In this situation, I like to think of us playing more like a Wrath Disc Priest, where we go full Zug, Flash Heal, Binding Heal, Mass Power Word Shielding, Single Target Spirit Shell, and bombing Prayer of Healings in AoE. As a healer, nothing matters unless you can keep everyone alive. Playing good or efficient means nothing when people die. Cooldowns. Disc has some massive CDs. Starting off with Pain Suppression. Honestly, I just let my main tank call for this when he needs it. It can be used for other tactics, so just keep an open mind. Power Word Barrier. Again, your raid leader should have a time and a place for this cooldown on every single fight. If you don't, find a better guild. Inner Focus. This gives you a free heal that will likely crit. I like to pair it up with Spirit Shell and Prayer of Healing. Shadow Fiend. The cooldown on this has been reduced to 3 minutes, and you do want to get max value out of it. Your Shadow Fiend will return 3% of your mana when it attacks. Our next CD is Hymn of Hope. You'll want to use this to benefit as many people as possible, but when you pair it with Shadow Fiend, you're basically going to get a second mana bar, so make sure that one of your Shadow Fiends always overlaps with one Hymn of Hope. 90 talents. Okay, all of these spells are fucking perfect, but which one you use will depend on the fight. Halo. This spell hits so fucking hard and it heals for so much at the same time. When you do need to be 25 yards away from your target to get the max value. I like to use it on fights like Stone Guards. The tanks take a lot of damage of Will of the Emperor and it heals them for so much. On that fight specifically though, if you miss time it, you can break CCs, your crowd controls. But it hits so hard. It is very positional based, so what I dislike about this spell is that maybe you'll have to move sometimes to get your max value. Divine Star. Honestly, any fight where the group is stacked up, this ability is going to hit so good. It does heal on the way out, and it heals on the way in. It's brilliant. It does do damage as well, so just be careful that you're not like AoEing. I think I kept disarming myself on Spirit Kings, because I was like cleaving the other target and it wasn't stunned. So just be careful with the ability too. But honestly, it's mostly fire and forget. Cascade, unpopular opinion, but this is my favourite of the 3. It bounces in a cascade, hitting the furthest targets away, and it splits up until it heals the entire raid. When everyone is running around like headless chickens, this does great healing. Fights like Will of the Emperor or Elegon, this is beautiful. Cascade as well, just like the other two spells, can be used aggressively. It does the same thing. It splits into a big cascade and hits all of the enemies in a certain range, and it bounces from the furthest target each time. So fights like Elegon, where the sparks come out of the boss, it'll bounce between all of the sparks and it does massive damage. Fights like Garajal in the spirit world, it hits all of those adds, and it'll finish a lot of them off in there as well, so it cleans up that room lovely. Honestly, these three spells just get creative. The results that you get from these spells will be the difference between a good Disc Priest and a bad Disc Priest. That's just a fact. As a bonus, I'll talk about Spectual Guise. This ability is my favourite in the game, to be honest with you. If used right, you can treat this like a Feign Death. If you're still invisible and your clone dies, it can reset the boss, preventing you from dying, allowing you to get out a quicker mass res. Any targeted ability, such that a hunter's Feign Death can dodge, you'll also be able to dodge. There's nothing really in Mushkin Vaults that I can think off the top of my head that you'll be able to outright cheese with Spectral Guise. But examples in the future, like the blades on Blackfuse, can be completely avoided, cleaning up that room, making it infinitely easier. It's a very hard fight, so anything that you can do to help helps. But what I want to pose to you guys is, find me more ways to abuse this spell. If you know any ways to abuse this spell, put it in the comments, share it with us, and you'll be guaranteed I'll be taking Spectral Guise on every fight that I can abuse something on. But yeah, guys, I am going to leave you with that. That is my Disc Priest guide. I hope to see all of you in Mist Pandaria. The Disc Priest is a beast. It's super fun to play, and you can watch me playing it on the raid test weekends. I'm going to go on Twitch when we're doing the weekend testing. We have Heart of Fear and Paris of the End of Springs coming up, so expect to see me there. On this channel specifically, we're going to be doing way more Mr. Pandaria content, and specifically way more disc content. So yeah, look forward to that. And guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for staying this long, and peace.